Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, proud to support the mission of KPBS and privileged to serve San Diego clients. Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, helping homeowners maintain drain, heating, and cooling systems since 1978. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marco Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.
Good evening. It's Wednesday, February 3rd. Thanks for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi, and tonight, new coronavirus infections are down, but deaths remain high as vaccinations expand to rural areas. San Diego County reported 54 deaths and 968 cases, the second day below 1,000 in weeks. KPBS reporter Matt Hoffman shows us how the vaccine is getting distributed in the far reaches of our county.
Way to go, Mom.
I know.
That's it.
Didn't even hurt. Yeah, we were wondering when they came, oh my God, we're going to have lines wrapped around the building. Nothing. Lovely.
80-year-old Tara Parker was able to get vaccinated today in Julian, not by a nurse, but by a firefighter paramedic.
You'll wait there for 15 minutes just to make sure you don't have any reactions to the vaccination, and then you'll sign up for your booster shot.
CAL FIRE San Diego and more than 20 local fire agencies are running Operation Collaboration. Instead of fighting fires on the front lines, these crews are delivering vaccines in rural areas and nursing homes.
You can see it's a large operation with several cooperators involved, not just CAL FIRE San Diego, but other agencies such as Carlsbad, Lakeside, Santee. We have members of the CERT team, which is a volunteer team of people that help protect the community and help us in times of need.
Middle poke, okay? 1, 2, 3. Good job. No, that's nothing. And that's it.
Backcountry residents are grateful that officials are bringing vaccinations directly to them.
I have friends in Los Angeles who are struggling to find appointments, and it was so easy here, I thought, oh, I should tell them to drive 3 hours.
It was the first available site that I could get. I tried Borrego for a couple of days after we tried San Marcos and Carlsbad and all those places.
You do need an appointment to get a vaccination at one of these CAL FIRE sites. Today they were hoping to deliver around 250 vaccinations. Crews will be in Jamul later this week and in Ramona over the weekend.
I'm going to set your appointment for the next vaccination.
County officials say between these mobile sites, superstations, and smaller vaccination pods, they can deliver 20,000 doses per day. But right now, they're doing half of that.
The problem that we have now is our efforts have far outpaced the supply of vaccines.
A little more than 500,000 total doses have been shipped to San Diego, but the county's dashboard shows just 2% of San Diegans have gotten both doses.
We still have a long way to go to get our 65 and older population vaccinated. It is important that they do because this age group has been one of the most vulnerable and impacted by this virus.
Would you like a Band-Aid on there?
Appointments at county sites are still available for people 65 and over and healthcare workers. CAL FIRE officials say Operation Collaboration has already delivered more than 7,000 doses to San Diegans. Matt Hoffman, KPBS News.
The first flu death of the season is being reported. County health officials say a 65-year-old East County man died. He was also diagnosed with coronavirus and had underlying health conditions. They also report he had been vaccinated against the flu. To date, 677 flu cases have been reported in the region compared to more than 11,000 the same time last year, with 108 people dying. Vaccine delivery is about to accelerate. Speaking today in Oakland, Governor Gavin Newsom announced, in partnership with the Biden administration, the opening of pilot mass community vaccination sites. As part of 100 sites nationwide, the California locations are in Oakland, Alameda, and Cal State Los Angeles. These communities have been disproportionately impacted by COVID-19 and are home to essential workers. Newsom said the framework is set up to make sure that communities that are often left behind are prioritized.
The whole idea is to speed up the throughput, the efficiency, maintain an equitable lens in terms of the application and distribution of the vaccines. Equity is the call of this moment.
The sites will be open to the public on February 16th and run by FEMA and the Office of Emergency Services. Newsom says they aim to distribute a minimum of 600 doses per day.
Federal government doesn't have the doses to support states like ours at the scale we all would like to see. We are limited on the basis of supply. This week, we will receive 1,060,000 doses of the vaccine. That's encouraging.
The new shipment will be distributed throughout the state. Registration for appointment will be available through the My Turn app in the next few days. And the My Turn website started as a pilot program here in San Diego and Los Angeles. It's expected to be rolled out across the state soon. And we have a new feature at kpbs.org, a map that shows vaccination clinic locations across the county. You can get to it by going to the Tracking COVID-19 banner on our homepage, then clicking on the Vaccines tab. You'll also find links to make an appointment online if you're eligible. President Biden huddled with congressional allies today on his nearly $2 trillion COVID-19 relief proposal. Democrats want to move quickly, but they have other major items on their to-do list. Karen Kaifa has the latest from Washington.
President Biden inviting top Senate Democrats to the White House to discuss his $1.9 trillion COVID economic relief plan.
It's great. I welcome all home. This is their new home. For a while, anyway.
On Monday, Biden heard from a group of Senate Republicans pitching a smaller plan and bipartisan compromise. On a call Tuesday, he told Senate Democrats the GOP number is just too low to meet the moment.
I don't think the problem is that we're going to go too big to deal with this crisis. The problem is we're going to go too small.
So with his blessing, Democrats are ready to go at it alone and quickly.
He will do his best, but unity doesn't mean unanimity, and unity doesn't mean letting the minority party block progress in the Senate.
But Senate Minority Leader Republican Mitch McConnell says he won't let Democrats move too fast.
The rushed budget process that will play out this week is exactly the wrong path toward making law.
The Senate also set to begin the impeachment trial of former President Trump next week, creating a balancing act.
We are confident they have the ability to walk and chew gum at the same time.
Wednesday brought a flurry of activity on Biden's cabinet nominees, with multiple committee hearings, while newly confirmed Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas and Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg were sworn in. In Washington, Karen Kaifa, KPBS News.
2 Supreme Court immigration cases have been postponed. One of the cases deals with the legality of the funding of the border wall construction. The other case deals with where non-Mexican immigrants wait for their U.S. court dates. The delays were requested by the Biden administration after signing executive orders. The case is now set for March 1st. Local leaders are asking for help to bring a vandal to justice. The call comes along with new evidence that could help identify who splattered paint across Black Lives Matter signs at a church and a bar in Hillcrest. Here's KPBS reporter Jacob Ayer.
Community leaders are seeking the public's help to identify a suspect who vandalized 2 Black Lives Matter signs in Hillcrest. Mayor Todd Gloria says these types of crimes will not be tolerated in San Diego.
As mayor of this great city, I want to be extremely clear. There is no room for hate in San Diego. This was more than an act of vandalism. It was an attack on our community and on the people who live in our city. And we will not overlook or marginalize these kinds of actions. We'll address them head on.
The paint on the Black Lives Matter signs at Hillcrest University Christian Church and Rich's San Diego nightclub was first discovered on January 24th. Today, police released a still photo of the suspect they obtained from security footage.
I want to stress the importance of reporting incidents, even if you think they are small in nature. Hate has no place in our communities, has no place in Hillcrest, has no place in anywhere in the city of San Diego or the world for that matter.
The vandalism came just 2 days after someone removed 2 brightly colored doors that stood against pillars in front of the church. The doors were recovered and put back in place as part of an installation that states, "God's doors are always open." The pink paint vandalism also came 3 weeks after someone splattered yellow paint on Rich's BLM sign. It's still unclear if the separate events are connected.
It is our deepest hope that something beautiful can be created from the hate that has occurred here in Hillcrest, because we know that as long as we hope and as long as we love, beauty is possible.
Reverend Lyne says the church is responding to hate crimes by streaming a performance called Colors of Love on Valentine's Day and supporting a special project for LGBTQ artists and artists of color. People who have any information regarding the vandalism should contact the San Diego Police Department at 619-531-2000. Jacob Ayer, KPBS News.
Several Black Lives Matter protesters allege that San Diego County Sheriff's deputies not only ignore MAGA counter-protesters' assaults at Poway rallies, but seem to sympathize. KPBS's Amita Sharma says Sheriff Bill Gore denies any bias by deputies.
Black Lives Matter! Black Lives Matter!
Rancho Bernardo High School senior Gabriela Sanchez-Moore says when she heard students from a nearby campus had organized BLM rallies in Poway in November, she wanted in.
It's just important to me that these students know that they're being heard and they're being listened to, and we're going to fight for them.
But Sanchez-Moore didn't expect to experience this. A counter-protester shouting white power. The 17-year-old says some of the MAGA counter-protesters also pushed a teen BLM supporter to the street, but she says San Diego County Sheriff's deputies on the scene did not act.
She was crying and she was trying to talk to the police and ask for help and trying to explain to the police what happened, but the police ended up telling her that because she was a minor and she didn't have a parent there, they weren't going to do anything.
Sheriff Bill Gore says he is unfamiliar with that incident. So far, he says deputies have filed 11 reports stemming from BLM protests in Poway since May. He could not provide a breakdown of how many were on behalf of BLM protesters or MAGA counter-protesters. Gore says the department screens all deputy applicants for ties to white supremacist or far-right groups. And he says the vetting continues once they're on the force, and as of yet, he has found no deputies involved with extremists.
We work on it constantly in our training. We talk about equitable, fair, and unbiased policing.
Jennifer, who only wanted her first name used because she fears retribution, wonders if some deputies have actually absorbed that training. She says one day in November, she saw racist members of the group Defend East County, or DEC, some wearing knives around their waists and carrying a noise machine, encircle the teen BLM protesters. Jennifer says deputies close by appeared unmoved.
The attitude was, if you come out here to protest, this is what you get.
Later that day, Jennifer says a deputy refused to file a report after counter-protesters shoved a 20-something BLM protester onto the street.
His position was, until all of you leave and this girl is the only person left, I'm not doing anything. I refuse to call another officer.
Gore says the deputy didn't file the report because he lacked sufficient backup.
And to the limited manpower we had to go in and try to take a police report would have further inflamed the situation.
But Jennifer says a video of that same deputy talking to MAGA DEC people just moments later shows he's biased toward one side.
Don't worry about it. I'm just, yeah, I got you.
Gore says the video must be viewed in context. The sheriff says the deputy was trying to keep both sides apart while listening to a complaint from a DEC counter-protester.
And the deputy, as best I could tell, saying, I've got this. I've got it. In other words, we're going to separate them and you don't have to do it. That's how I interpret it. Now, that's what the deputy says his intentions were.
Still, Sanchez-Moore says she can't shake her belief that sheriff's deputies favor the far right.
They saw a group of the MAGA supporters talking to the cops, and they were fist bumping and shaking hands and laughing.
Gore says the glad-handing was really intel gathering.
If somebody comes up in there and they want to fist bump you, it's hard to put yourself in a deputy's position when you're trying to develop a rapport with these individual groups to say, get away from me, I can't talk to you. So I can see how it could be interpreted that, oh, they're friendly with one side.
But University of Illinois at Chicago Law School professor Samuel Jones, who specializes in police accountability, says that kind of public display discredits the sheriff's department.
By appearing to be biased, by appearing to ignore the rights of any American,
in favor of another American. They are essentially engaging in conduct unbecoming of a police officer.
Jones says the department's handling of the protests and counter-protests could dissuade BLM supporters from attending rallies, as was the case with Gabriela Sanchez Moore.
It's really difficult because I don't know that if something were to happen to me, I don't know what help I would receive.
Gore says he's disheartened by that sentiment.
My commitment is to try to have those resources there so that doesn't happen, so they do feel safe. I can't make them safe from hateful things or hurtful things that are said, but I can protect from physical danger. And if we were unable to do that in a particular situation, I'll take responsibility for that.
Amita Sharma, KPBS News.
An effort to recall San Diego City Council President Jennifer Campbell became official today. A notice of intent was published, and now recall leaders must wait 21 days to begin collecting signatures. Campbell has that time to publish a rebuttal. Her district includes Pacific Beach, Ocean and Mission Beach, Point Loma, and part of Claremont. Backers say Campbell has been too lenient toward vacation rentals and don't approve of her stand on height limits in the Midway District. Her supporters describe her as a progressive leader, not afraid to take on controversial issues. San Diego Gas and Electric, along with Scripps Institution of Oceanography, are expanding a relationship that is designed to understand real-world impacts of a changing climate. KPBS environment reporter Eric Anderson has details.
The region's investor-owned utility is expanding a relationship with researchers at UC San Diego. They're hoping to tap into ongoing research of extreme weather events that are happening because of climate change. Flooding along the coast is just one area of concern.
That's really going to help us understand, are we at risk of a compounding coastal flooding issue here in San Diego going forward? How is that going to affect our infrastructure? How is that going to affect San Diego at large?
SDGE has long studied wildfire risks in the backcountry. As part of a $1 billion upgrade, they built a backcountry weather tracking network that is the most extensive rural monitoring system in the world. Scripps postdoctoral researcher Angelica Rodriguez says UC researchers are now able to tap into that system to study events like last month's storms.
There were incredibly intense winds. And so having that data available to look at right immediately after is pretty valuable in determining the sorts of events that we should be looking at in our models.
Improving models improves predictions, and that's where the value lies for SDG&E. Monitoring wildfire risks has long been a priority, but the utility also wants to know when climate cuts the risk.
What are the amounts of rainfall we need to really put out the fire season for good? How can we actually quantify when fire season is over and we can kind of back off on the resource allocation?
Current climate research suggests there will be even more extreme weather events in Southern California as the planet and the region warm. Eric Anderson, KPBS News.
Dry weather ahead right through the end of the weekend into the weekend. We have some mild temperatures for you and plenty of sunshine. First, we have to deal with some winds. They'll be blowing offshore during the day on Thursday, and the winds will start to diminish some on Friday. Here's a look at the forecast for tonight. Mid-40s Oceanside, low 50s in San Diego. A little chilly again in Ramona, 34. El Cajon at 45. Campo's at 37. In Barroyo Springs, 48. Thursday, pleasant temperatures here. We'll have the offshore flow. So that means we don't have to deal with the clouds. And we'll have plenty of sunshine. But the winds will be a little feisty for some, but they should not get out of control. High temperatures, 65 in Oceanside and San Diego. Ramona's at 67. El Cajon's at 71. Borrego Springs at 71. And Campo at 60 degrees. Friday, well, the offshore flow will be much weaker. Still dry and bright here. And how are we doing on Saturday? Well, never too early to talk about the weekend, is it? And it should be dry and pleasant. Let's check out the forecast for the coast. Sunshine returns Thursday. Maybe a few morning clouds very early. After that, it looks great. And we'll be enjoying the sunshine, pleasant temperatures into the weekend. Inland areas here too, turning sunny, but temperatures rising to the low 70s by Saturday and sunny and pleasant on your Sunday. Here in the mountain areas, sunshine returns Thursday, and you can see plenty of sun over the weekend. Temperatures creeping up just a little bit. And in the deserts, looks very nice. Coolest day will be Thursday, and the temperatures start to rise. Look at that, mid to upper 70s over the weekend. And for KPBS News, I'm meteorologist Mark Mancuso.
Schools can reopen safely even if teachers are not vaccinated. That is the opinion from the director of the CDC. President Biden has pledged to ensure nearly all K-8 schools will reopen for in-person instruction in the first 100 days of his administration. Some teachers' unions are pushing back at resuming in-person instruction before teachers are inoculated. Teachers are prioritized as essential workers under the CDC's vaccination plans, though many have yet to receive doses as the nation continues to face a supply shortage.
There is increasing data to suggest that schools can safely reopen, and that safe reopening does not suggest that teachers need to be vaccinated in order to reopen safely.
Today, Governor Newsom said he agrees with the CDC director's assessment. He said while many schools are already open on a limited basis across the state, only 87 cases were reported in schools last month.
We can safely reopen schools as we process a prioritization to our teachers of vaccinations and still keep our teachers, our paraprofessionals, which means bus drivers, our cafeteria workers, janitors that are essential workers to making our schools work safe and keep our kids safe at the same time.
Newsom has advanced a statewide school reopening plan that depends on more than $6 billion in funding to provide protective equipment, COVID testing, and other safety measures. The state's guidelines call for campuses to reopen for youngest students when infection rates drop to a 7-day average of 25 new cases per 100,000 residents. San Diego County's case rate is high above that at 42. There's a growing concern about variants of the coronavirus. As one health expert says, even if you've already been infected with COVID-19, you may not be fully protected from the latest mutations of the virus. Mandy Gaither explains.
Across much of the U.S., coronavirus cases continue to plateau, but the virus is still circulating, and while its variants are not the dominant strains going around the U.S. at this time, those mutations, especially the one first identified in South Africa, are concerning.
If it becomes dominant, the experience of our colleagues in South Africa indicate that even if you've been infected with the original virus, that there is a very high rate of reinfection to the point where previous infection does not seem to protect you against reinfection.
Health experts say it's as important as ever to get as many people vaccinated for the coronavirus as quickly as possible.
Even though there is a diminished protection against the variants, there's enough protection to prevent you from getting serious disease, including hospitalization and deaths. So vaccination is critical. When it's available, get vaccinated.
But the vaccines aren't the only keys to slowing the spread of COVID-19.
We also don't know for sure if the vaccines protect against transmission. So can a person who's been vaccinated actually transmit a virus to another person? And so wearing masks, keeping social distancing, washing hands are still really critically important while people are getting vaccinated as well.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
And the rise of variants is heightening the urgency of getting shots into arms as quickly as possible. Now the Biden administration is shipping vaccines directly to thousands of pharmacies. CVS plans to have shots available at 100 stores across California, including Carlsbad, Chula Vista, La Jolla, and San Diego. Some could have vaccines available by February 11th, and you can book appointments online starting on February 9th.
This will provide more sites for people to get vaccinated in their communities, and it's an important component to delivering vaccines equitably. But I wanted to set expectations appropriately. Due to the current supply constraints, this will be limited when it begins next week.
A total of 1 million vaccine doses will be distributed across the country. 21 pharmacy chains will participate in the initial phase of the program, including Walgreens, CVS, and Rite Aid. San Diego recently announced a goal of vaccinating 1.8 million people by July. What will it take to reach that goal? Join KPBS health reporter Taryn Mento tomorrow night for a virtual event featuring local experts. You can RSVP at kpbs.org/events.
I'm Judy Woodruff. Tonight on the NewsHour, as lawmakers pay respect to a fallen Capitol Hill police officer, Republicans face a defining moment for the party's future. Coming up at 7 after Evening Edition on KPBS.
And here's another look at today's top stories. Instead of fighting fires, local crews are fighting on the front lines of the pandemic. CAL FIRE San Diego and more than 20 local fire agencies are bringing the coronavirus vaccine to people in rural areas of the county. Today they were in Julian. They'll be in Hamul later this week and Ramona over the weekend. Appointments can be booked through the county's website. And community leaders are seeking help to identify a vandalism suspect in Hillcrest. Pink paint was splattered on Black Lives Matter banners at University Christian Church and Rich's San Diego nightclub. Today, San Diego police released a photo of the suspect from security footage. If you have any information about the case, call the police department. And you can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org. Thanks for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. Have a great evening.
Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, proud to support the mission of KPBS and privileged to serve San Diego clients. Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, helping homeowners maintain drain, heating, and cooling systems since 1978. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marco Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.